find their own paths to successful careers, active citizenship, and rewarding lives. Now I'll ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We have a present, I'm just going to jump in. We're going to be here all night. Again.
Again.
Do we have a presentation? I don't see Mr. Stevenson.
I do not.
But
So I can,
The 18th, when you're both going to do civic stuff, I think that's maybe what Warren thought.
Alrighty.
Oh, that's
So
too bad
wires got
because-
crossed.
It's going to be him two at the same time.
Well, we'll
Well, that's
follow up
too
on that.
bad because we had somebody else that we took off.
I know Mr. Stevenson had spoken to me today about it, asking if I would be the rep, and he was planning on it next week, I think.
All right.
Well, that would have been good to know because I took off Mrs. Guerin's. But it's not on there. Could we still do it? It's just a
Sure.
presentation. Do you mind?
Want to talk about the conference?
Can we talk about the student government? That would be.
Sure, I'll
Okay.
t-
You have a presentation though? Were you going to give?
Extemporaneous.
So,
Breathe this big word.
all right, so I'm Kyle Weiss, for anyone who doesn't know.
Okay.
And this last week, we had gone, Student Council had taken 6 of our members to the statewide conference in Hyannis, Massachusetts, which is located on Cape Cod. And at this conference, it was a series of different leadership opportunities and events for people to take part in. The council had done a polar plunge, where as a school, we raised about $500 to support Special Olympics, and as a state, we raised over $60,000, enough that the executive director of the Massachusetts Association of Student Councils actually plunged as well, which everyone, of course, went crazy over. In the conference, there was a series of workshops. I led one myself, and I also ran for state office, for the office of vice president. There were 9 candidates running, which is crazy if you ask me. And so I had to give a speech in front of the delegation of about 1,300 students and a couple hundred advisors.
And how'd you do?
Unfortunately, I did not win. However, again, I was against 9 equally qualified people.
What did you present on?
My different levels were, I was hoping for expansion on the Special Olympics program. Massachusetts Association of Student Councils obviously donates lots of money, and we also do a series of events with them throughout the year, such as Unified Bocce and an inclusion dance. I also was running on more inclusion of the state executive board to the member schools. The member schools don't meet with the executive board often, so one of my proposals was to meet more frequently with the schools who live out in way western Mass, who take 3 hours to get to Cape Cod and an hour and a half to Worcester when we do meet.
What did you do for your presentation with the kids?
For my workshop?
Yeah, your workshop.
So my workshop was all about the skill of writing things down to remember things, as simply the human mind can't remember everything. So what I did was we presented a story where students were asked to listen to the story and then retell it. However, as it was retold multiple times, it was essentially telephone, where the story got worse and worse and even more inaccurate. So the story started as the Battle of the Alamo and the story along with it, and it ended up something about, it was 7 words, and it was something about the Germans, and it went completely horrible, as it should have, because students were not engaged in writing it down and trying to actively recall the information. So at the second round of a different story, students were then able to recall the information better as they wrote things down and had different methods to better remember things that they didn't in the first round.
So I'm Dawn Guerin from the high school, and I'm a student council advisor, and I appreciate you letting us go again this year. It was fantastic, as always. The kids were, amazing. They're just such a well-behaved group, never any issues, and I have, I'm fully faithful in them when they go down there that is the case. We were the M&Ms, because M&Ms make friends, so they had their cute M&M shirts on that we made for less than $4. It was insane, and they used those. They jumped into the ocean with those, so that was a fun way to start for sure. I do want to say congratulations for even having the courage to step up and do that, and Kyle was fantastic up there. You were so poised, it was eloquent, I mean, it were just great, absolutely fantastic, and I think you got a lot of feedback, a lot of people saying how well he did, not just from our group. So I was very proud of him, and I've got some pictures and some video, so we immediately sent them home to make sure
I
that,
only saw the tweets.
yeah, well, we did that part, and I put some on Facebook, not maybe of you doing the speech, but he sent it home at least to
Okay.
let his parents know that he survived that, but he did a great job. And we talked about the fact that he had a person running from North Middlesex and a person running from Oakmont.
Oh,
So,
wow.
against him. So
Right.
even our local votes were really split. So we had talked about that on the way down, the damage that can do in a voting situation. So, but there was still always that hope. And then when he did such a great job like he did, it was like, ooh,
Was it one of the local people who won?
No, it was a student from Duxbury High School.
Okay.
yeah. So the Southeast, he was probably the only one from Southeast, got all those votes, and, splitting votes, but what that'll do. Other than that, we know highlights, but it was just a great all-around
Okay.
experience. And I think one of my favorite parts of it is on the way home, the chatter, the whole way home, sharing what they learned and these new people that they met and all these great ideas that we have for the school. And so that's like the huge takeaway is what they come back with, but the fact that they literally, 2-hour ride home, it's just nonstop, sharing.
ideas.
So it's a good bonding experience for our council that goes, but then also a great learning experience to learn from other councils and
Right.
get some great ideas.
Yeah.
So,
Did I hear you stopped at Trudy Treats?
actually, that was kind of a weird little thought on the way down when we were talking about it, that the old Trudy's Treats is now down right at the base of the Sagamore Bridge, and I've stopped there, I found it finally this fall, I think, was when I was down there, and I just thought, like I mentioned it to the kids, do you guys remember Trudy's Treats, and, you want to go get a ring ding or something, and they were like, yeah, so then on the way back, I thought, wow, you know what, maybe this could be a nice little place to get a little thank you gift for your parents who just dish out all this money. So some got ring dings, some got little apple pies and a little treat for their parents. I said, and the woman that's in charge, the owner of it,
Yeah.
when the kids, we had all our camouflage Lunenburg shirts coming in and our silly little cowboy hats that were super fun and recognizable for the week. When we walked in, she was like, oh my God, like Lunenburg.
Yeah.
So she was totally, and then I come in at the end and she's like, what are you doing here? So she was so thankful because it was nice to see some Lunenburg folks and obviously support. And I thought, what a great tradition we may have started was, making sure they formally thank their parents for
Good idea.
dishing out.
Great
Yeah,
idea.
so it was fun. Any questions? Any more questions for me? Okay.
Well, thanks for the impromptu.
It worked.
Yes.
I'm here,
Yeah.
he's here, that works.
Yeah.
The others
that's
might be
good.
disappointed that they don't get to come, but that's all
I
right.
know, yeah.
That's all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment on agenda items. Does anyone have public comment? Yep.
I actually have two, Lisa LeBlanc, I'm the LEA teacher president, and I actually have two. The first one's really quick, and then the last one I think is 3 minutes. So, the first thing is just about the website itself. So last week, myself and another student representative from Student Council showed up here because the district website still said that there was a meeting last week. We ended up over at the high school together. We made sure that he got a ride home. And then I went back to check the website and just a few things. The policies, under current policies, it says that nothing's up for review. And it's your second reading for like 6 or 7 things. And the calendar still says last week. And then you can't find the one that has the information about what happens, has a yellow bar over this date and last date, and then it's very hard to read through them. So just wanted to let you guys know that. Okay, second thing. So I'm here tonight to speak as the LEA president to the proposed homework policy, 5206, I believe. The change which adds an additional line regarding homework over vacations and school breaks. Much of this proposed policy change came as a result of a recent survey our high school students took where they expressed feeling significant stress. Some students made specific comments regarding homework and the timing of homework as significant contributing factors to their stress. None of us are surprised that students correlate stress and homework. Athletic schedules and expectations, increased rigor to prepare for assessments, college entrances, balancing social lives and social media use, family responsibilities and part-time jobs, all contribute to stress. Lunenburg has taken some strong initiatives to support struggling students through programs, structures, and supports in each of our buildings. We thank you for your continued goal to help support our students as they navigate navigate stress and frustration during their schooling. As their teachers, working with them every day, we are committed to increasing their resilience and providing them with coping strategies while being responsive to their needs and making adjustments to our teaching when it's necessary. As the teachers in the district who will carry out this policy, we have some concerns and quite a few questions. Most teachers have not had the opportunity to engage in discussion around this topic, nor have they been asked whether they give assignments before or after breaks, what they assign if they do, and why they assign it. Educators who have been deemed highly qualified by DESE have not been consulted, given the ability to provide feedback around this policy. Homework allows students at all grade levels to practice a skill set. Just as with a sport or music, an extended break from a skill can cause regression. Many teachers in many grade levels do not assign work over breaks or weekends. Most teachers who do are mindful of student schedules and believe that assigning work over break allows for greater student flexibility in time on learning and scheduling of priorities, which include family and sports commitments. Our district serves pre-K through 12, and certainly there is a variation in what is considered homework, and the reasons for sending anything home with students varies. Our early readers sent home with kindergarten students over winter break considered homework. Is AP assignments, are those when students are opting into advanced placement programs, taking assessments with international students, is that considered homework? Are long-term assignments considered homework? And if they are, how long is long-term? When is that assigned work able to be asked for? The Monday following break, the Tuesday following break, the week following break? Often students take portions or entire weeks prior to vacation and after vacation. And asking for work to be taken with them, is that considered work over vacation? At the bottom of the proposed policy, the last revision was in 2004, and prior to that it was in 1988, and now it is 2020, and so every 16 years you update this policy as a school committee. Based on that pattern, we would be looking at 2036 for a next revision of this policy. As educators, we are just concerned over the well-being of our students. However, without a deep study of the issue of student stress, the amount of work actually given, to whom, by whom, and student time management skills and practices, a policy such as this might not address the issue of student stress. So the LEA is respectfully requesting that we be able to gather some necessary data to get some clarity on these questions and some answers before there are any changes to this policy. Thank you.
Do we have any other public comment? No? Okay. We have warrants on the table to review. They're going around. You have, okay. Line item transfer?
We have one in the amount of $2,500 from the extended day account for the rental of this space at TCP.
The monthly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hello, I'll take a motion.
You have that?
It's the monthly fee that they pay every month. We get it.
It's not in there? Or is it
No,
in there?
it's
He's
not in
looking
the
for
packet,
it,
So I was
yeah.
just looking for it.
Oh, okay.
What was?
It's the 25,000 monthly fee for TCP.
2,500.
2,500,
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
2,500.
This would be for the April.
The April.
Okay. It just wasn't in the packet.
Right.
So
I knew you were looking for it, yeah.
I'll move to accept the 2,500 transfer for the TCP.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Sorry, I thought you had a question. That was
We
where I
have
was-
minutes from regular session February 26th and executive session February 5th.
I have one change to the meeting minutes for
Yep.
February 26th. It references that we did not approve the executive session minutes. We did. That was part of my motion.
But not to publish it.
Well,
Yes,
it's not,
correct.
well, yeah, it wasn't to publish it,
Approve,
but
but not publish.
Yep.
to approve them, yeah. That's the only change that I saw.
So we're gonna make note of that, and are we gonna have to read? Or is that, can we approve that with that change?
Approve it with edits.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that it just is rephrased that the executive session minutes were approved, not for release. And we'll go back and make sure that we have the right information on the motion maker. Was it
That was
Carol
me.
that seconded?
I believe it was Carol. Yeah, I so I made a motion for both.
Okay.
Both minutes.
Okay. So we'll just make that one change.
Okay. And other than that, I would make a motion to accept the regular session minutes of 2:26 and the executive session minutes of 2:05.
Second.
But not to release
But
them.
not
But not
Yes,
to
but not to
release.
release them.
Yes. The executive
Make
session.
sure that's
yeah.
clear.
You seconding? Wendy?
Yes, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Superintendent's report.
Okay, so this evening I have an update on coronavirus concerns. We've participated in 2 phone conference calls in the last week, one with the Commissioner of Education and the Mass Department of Public Health jointly, and then another one just this afternoon with the Department of Public Health. Moving forward, the plan is that there will be a weekly conference call with the Commissioner on Thursday afternoons, and Tuesday afternoons would be a weekly with the Department of Public Health. So we're staying abreast of the evolving situation, and we're in communication with key members within the district, as an example, Mr. Londa, Carolyn Finch. We have had some communication with our school physician, as well as the Department of Public Health. There's lots of communication going back and forth, and we are operating in accordance with the guidance that we've been provided. There is a special election day, Tuesday, March 31st, and the voting will take place at TCP. And again, as we did with the presidential primary election, we will have our extended day students using the side entrance and voters using the main entrance. Kinship Care, the group had a second meeting, and they will be meeting again March 30th and April 27th at the Lunenburg Senior Center from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. A reminder on the budget timeline, tomorrow evening, we are presenting our budget to the Finance Committee, 6:30 here at Town Hall. An update on school choice numbers. We currently have 4 school choice applications for grade 9, which means we still have 6 seats open for grade 9, and we still have 9 spots open for grade 10.
So no applications? For anybody?
Not for grade 10, we've had 4 for 9th grade. Therefore, no lottery was required.
Right.
Current enrollment numbers, we had 16 parents submit to be in the lottery for the 4-year-old pre-K program. All the names were pulled, and currently 5 parents have completed paperwork to be in that program. And I expect that that number will increase in the coming days. Currently, the enrollment for kindergarten is 100 students. Our early learning center is at 13, and we have numbers for our summer camp, and for the week, it ranges from a low of 18 to a high of 25. Those are pretty good numbers for our summer camp program. And then we also have extended hours for the summer camp as well. So there's before summer camp and after summer camp, and we have good numbers for that as well. Our enrollment for our school year extended day program, mornings range from 38 to a high of 43 on a given day, and in the afternoon, we have a range of 61 to 71 for the afternoon. So because we have open seats, we haven't reached the cap, we will continue to accept registrations until we reach the cap, and then any registrations that come in over and above the cap would go on a waiting list. But right now, we have plenty of space available. And lastly, an update on the coach's handbook. The coach's handbook revisions, unfortunately, will not be ready prior to the start of the spring season as we had hoped. Following the school committee meeting on January 8th, when the draft was presented, AD Bunnell discussed swing players with other ADs in the Mid-Watch League. There was a significant level of concern amongst the group about having language that regulates the use of swing players be in a handbook. It potentially carries over into impacting other districts. They would like some additional time to discuss this particular topic. Additionally, the LEA had expressed some concern as well. As you know, the coaches are covered under our teacher contract. The handbook outlines expectations for coaches, and it could be perceived as evaluative. So the union is reviewing the document and will get back to us with feedback. But I would imagine that they would also look to have the handbook rolled out and implemented beginning for the next school year for all seasons.
Yeah, are the expectations, is that potentially able to move to job description in their application for the job?
I think in some cases, perhaps. I'm interested to see what the thoughts are from the LEA on that. You know, the intent was not for the handbook to serve as an evaluation document, per se, but I can understand their concern, given that it does outline expectations. So I think, you know, I'd be eager to hear what they think after they have a chance to really review it.
Do they have expectations anywhere else for coaches? What are their expectations?
Well, I think there,
How
you know,
do they-
there might be some elements in a job description that, or
Yeah, I
job
would think
posting.
Typically, they're in the job description, and the
Posting,
job posting.
yeah.
And how are they evaluated?
Currently, there is no evaluation tool for coaches.
Oh. That's very interesting.
Well, and I would think that we would want guidelines on what's expected of a coach
Yeah,
to be documented somewhere,
right.
whether or not it's used as an evaluative tool or not. But I would think also somewhere that we would want to have what the evaluation tool is
Yeah.
for coaches, or any staff, for that matter. I mean, I'm sure we have the same for custodial staff and janitor, and the kitchen, as well as the teachers. They have their rubrics.
Right. So currently, because there isn't an evaluation tool for coaches, it would have to be developed, and then that would have to be negotiated with the LEA.
And there's not anything statewide.
The MIA
that
has
we
nothing?
would- Really,
I don't know that they do.
to evaluate coaches. Interesting.
I mean,
School by
the-
school, yeah.
yeah.
As a coach, it's,
And do you,
I've
in your
had just meetings
school,
with the AD and,
do you have an evaluation tool at your school?
as a teacher, but not as a coach.
But not as a coach?
But again, as coaches are one-year stipends that they
Right.
have to reapply each year, so there's no guarantee that they're gonna get next year.
Correct.
That's true, but without clear expectations, there's really nothing to look onto as, and say why they wouldn't be invited back. Right? There's that too.
Yep.
So, okay.
I guess it also gives the athletic director and the principal some leeway to not invite someone back though as well.
Right,
That they
right.
don't have to have an evaluation that,
They can just say no. They don't have to have a reason.
correct?
So
Might
that's good to
just
know too.
Not a good fit.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I think, you know, the coaching approach and philosophy has to be consistent
Yes.
with the philosophy of the district.
Exactly.
Yes.
So fit is important.
Yep. Okay. Okay, so that will just wait until,
As soon as we
Right.
get something that we can bring back,
right,
we will.
and it will just be worked on for next school year,
For implementation for
Right.
next year.
to be developed so that, okay. Okay.
So just on the warrants, we've got different colored paper. Is this?
That's, because
Just for me.
Oh, nope, those are.
Those are mine.
Those
Those
were
are
just
just
for
the-
mine.
Okay,
those are just for Brian.
just checking.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't want to have to sign, because I never signed the
All
orange
right,
ones
so
before.
that's it with the superintendent's report?
That
Correct?
is.
Okay. Student reps report.
All right, so at the high school level, obviously, as discussed earlier, student council had gotten back from their trip with networking, keynote speakers, and workshops. Last Friday, the National Honor Society had hosted a dodgeball tournament at the high school where they successfully raised around $700 to support a local charity. The Hunger Task Force is working to produce their annual Coin Wars video, which will be premiered to the high school after April break. The prom sales will be available only next week, so any student interested in attending prom will have to make sure they have paid class dues as well as activity fees, and then of course the prom ticket price itself. And lastly, the spring sports are about to begin next week.
Tryouts. Tryouts,
Tryouts, I
Yeah.
should say, yes.
yeah. Okay. Old business is, we're flipping this week. So old business fiscal year 21 updated budget presentation.
Correct.
Correct, right?
So it should be up on the monitor on the side of the room here. However, there's no HDMI cable for me to connect to the projector here, so we're unable to project it for you, but it is in your...
Oh, but it's for the audience. Okay,
Correct,
okay.
but it is in
Yeah,
your
we have it,
folders.
Yes.
Is it showing up?
It is
for the
over
audience?
there,
Okay,
yep.
then it's on, that would be
Yeah.
on broadcast
We're
as
okay
well.
then.
Right. And it's in our folders. Right.
It's pretty purple.
Well, I purposefully changed the color
I
of
like
the
it.
slides with each new
Yeah, so we can
presentation
tell
so
the
that
difference.
they're distinctly different.
Yeah.
Okay.
See this, I'm gonna do those because I know the budget already.
Have you all been able to retrieve and pull up
Yep,
your...
I have
Yes,
it.
got it,
Yep.
thank you.
You have yours? Okay.
So again, we're guided by our mission and vision. The mission of the Lunenburg Public Schools is to provide all students with the skills, confidence, and passion for lifelong learning so that they may find their own paths to successful careers, active citizenship, and rewarding lives. In our vision, the Lunenburg Public Schools is committed to becoming a leader in education by focusing on its values of attending to the personal well-being of its students, providing high-quality curricula and student-centered instruction for deeper learning at all levels, and promoting the development of attributes and skills necessary for continuous learning for all. And again, our budget priorities were to develop a budget that meets student needs and aligns with the strategy for continuous improvement objectives. Last meeting, we presented you with some budget scenarios. The first scenario was the adjusted budget, adjustments made for health insurance now that we have the health insurance numbers. But essentially, scenario one is the budget that we presented January 22nd, which includes the addition of an assistant principal, a full-time psychologist, a special ed teacher, restoring the building leadership stipends, and all of the expense lines for each school would be filled as requested. And that was a 3.24% increase.
And that's with the current, all the current information that you have, the health insurance, Monty Tech, all that other stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
Scenario two is the 2.9% budget that we talked about at the last meeting. That would include some staffing reductions, specifically cutting the psychologist position that we're asking for to a part-time status. There would be some adjustment to the health insurance, and school-based budgets would also be reduced. And the next 4 slides outline what those reductions are at each school. So at the high school, we're talking about a reduction to art supplies. There was a hope that we would be able to move the yearbook class to an after-school club. And then, of course, there'd be a stipend attached to that. And additionally, we would be able then to schedule some additional art classes in place of the yearbook class, which would require additional art supplies. So with the reduction to the 2.9 budget, we would be keeping the yearbook as is, as a class. There would be some reduction to the physical education supplies line. You know, your typical supplies for a gymnasium. And lastly, an adjustment based on a lease of guidance software. We're looking at alternatives to virtual high school. One of those alternatives that we were originally looking at would have been a bit more money than virtual high school, but would have afforded us greater flexibility and potential to meet the needs of students who would need temporary access to an online learning situation. As an example, a student who may have an illness that they have to remain out of school for an extended period of time to recover, they could potentially be hooked up with this online curriculum, which would be beneficial to everyone. Additionally, we have options for credit recovery with another program that virtual high school does not afford us. So there are many benefits to the transition to a different software. At the middle school.
One question about the
Yep.
software, is that a lifetime license, or what's that?
How long is it?
That license
I believe
duration?
it's an annual cost for the virtual high school models that we're looking at.
Yeah, it's an annual contract.
Thank you.
So at the high school, there's just a general reduction to office supplies and materials, another reduction to art supplies, that would impact consumables. ELA supplies, that's a significant reduction. There had been a request for a laminator, and that would be taken off the table. For social studies, you know that we've made a transition to new standards for social studies, and there would have been a request for some additional maps. We will just be looking to delay that purchase out another year. And there would be some reduction to purchase of library books. At the elementary school, again, there would be a reduction to the library purchases. Audiovisual technology supplies would be reduced. There was a request for 3 document cameras that would not be funded. There would be a reduction to general school supplies, a reduction to computer contractual services, specifically a program that we've been using for math. It's called IXL. And lastly, at the Turkey Hill, there would be a reduction to the furniture line. The 3.24 budget included 5 new desks and chairs at a cost of $900. At the primary school, there would be a reduction to the art supplies line, the library books line, the music supplies line. However, that won't impact the funding for our first grade music production. We will also see a reduction at the computer contractual services line. We were looking to utilize an app next year called Pick My Kid. Some of our staff members, schools use this, and if parents are making changes to dismissal practices, they use the app. The teachers are notified, the office is notified. It would be a much more efficient and effective tool for making those adjustments to daily dismissal changes. Guidance supplies would also be reduced and absorbed into the general office supply line. And we would also see a reduction of the new furniture and equipment line. This money would have been earmarked for furniture should we need to add a 7th kindergarten classroom.
So, if I could go back to the LMS reductions for the lack of the additional maps. A lot of things you say we'll be pushing out to fiscal '22, which there's no guarantee that you're gonna get these in '22 either. So the things like, what is the impact of not having these maps to the new social studies curriculum?
Teachers will have to ultimately be more creative in finding other ways to work with students. So as an example, we might have to search online to find the kind of maps that we're looking for and project them digitally in a classroom versus having a tangible map that you can mount in your classroom. We will deliver the curriculum one way or another.
No doubt. I'm trying to understand what is the impact, a tangible impact, and the same thing with the document cameras at the elementary school. What does this mean? We need to photocopy things and hand them out as handouts, or instead of?
Potentially.
Wait,
But something like the document cameras, potentially, if the PTO were to do an RFF again next year, those might potentially be something that teachers could write a proposal for and have funded.
But that's a presumption that the PTO is
Would
doing
have it,
RFFs
right?
next year.
And they may
Right.
not.
And the time of year that they do them and
Correct.
monies are delivered, it could be well into the school year.
don't they
Correct.
usually do them every other year? Because
have
they
been.
usually try to raise enough money to have a nice amount for RFFs.
Mhm.
And at the primary school, the Pick My Kid application, as I recall a discussion we've had before, the frequent changes of pickup and whether or not at the primary school has been a concern because of the frequency of the changes.
Yeah,
High
daily.
level of changes.
Yeah, what
It's
was
an
it,
awful lot.
40
Do
daily?
you have?
30 to 40.
30 to 40
Is not
daily?
unusual.
Okay. I just wanted to put some quantity around that, because that seems important, and I would hate for us to lose an opportunity to streamline that effort, especially, we don't want any of the kids falling into the cracks
Right.
because of various administrative issues.
Correct.
Thank you.
So scenario 3 would put us with the town manager's guideline budget of 2.5% increase for next year. And to get there, we're talking about staffing reduction. We would be eliminating that assistant principal position, reducing the school psychologist position again to part-time, making some additional adjustments to health insurance, and a few additional, well, one additional school-based budget reduction. And again, that would come back to the virtual software that we would be using for online curriculum. Additionally, we'll have some savings moving away from Naviance eventually to a model that the state is developing. Many portions of it are developed, but it doesn't fully yet have the capability of Naviance. But as soon as they finish the development, it should be capable of fully replacing Naviance, and that tool provided by the state is free. So some new information, as we discussed at the last school committee meeting, we knew that Monty Tech was coming in to present to the Finance Committee March 5th. Based on some changes due to the new legislation, the Student Opportunity Act, and the impact to the budget formula, the foundation budget formula, coupled with the fact that we will have some additional students attending Monty Tech next year, the assessment came in over what the town manager had budgeted. And we're talking about nearly $100,000. Additionally, the town manager has let us know that, she had used some conservative estimates for new growth, and originally was projecting that to be $350,000, but now we're looking at $193,000. So revenues are down. So back to the budget timeline. Again, Finance Committee will be tomorrow night. And we have publicized that our budget hearing will be at the next school committee meeting on March 18th. And town meeting is May 2nd.
Do you have any questions? Any of the board members? No. So now,
No questions, I'm just, it's
It's depressing.
It's depressing to find ourselves in this situation again, in this allegedly booming economy, and it just, and then I saw in the select board meeting last night that one of the developers is changing their, wants to change their plan from 122 single-family residents to 500 one-bedroom units for rent. Which, who knows what impact that would have on the schools,
Yeah.
if any. If they're one bedrooms,
It's not really
don't
family
assume that
size,
they're
yeah.
not family sizes, but
yeah.
I don't know. It's just coupled with the, what is it, almost a half of what the town manager had anticipated for new growth.
And Monty Tech, so it's
And the
seven.
Monty Tech.
So wait, what's
So-
our number for Monty Tech? How many kids are going there? We have seven more
Seven
than
more
usual?
Yep.
Which is usually 25, 20.
I think last year, I think we were at 26.
So we don't have a cap there?
So it appears that
I
they're
thought we had a-
increasing the number, and I
They've
don't,
increased our cap to
potentially.
accommodate?
Well, they may have had lesser interest from a
Other
different
towns,
town
okay.
in their available seats, and
Yeah, that could be. That's a lot, though.
It is
That
a
would be
lot.
like 30 students from the upcoming freshman class, which is a big class.
Which is a big class.
So,
That's helpful on
Right.
in that respect, but
but still.
to be clear for anyone watching who this might not make 100% sense to, the Student Opportunity Act that was supposed to
Help.
change the budget formula, and we weren't counting on a massive windfall in Lunenburg in any way, but it's actually hurt us. We are now receiving less money than we
And
did
this,
last year.
and now this, yeah.
Plus, Monty Tech,
Went from-
again, we
Yeah.
are
More money's going
more
out.
money out the door.
7 more
there.
students.
Yeah.
And the projection within the budget from the town manager, significantly less for growth.
right.
I hope to hear from the public next week during our,
Well, we have
Well, we
a
have a
question.
question and
Now we're
answer.
going to open it up to the,
Oh, we
this
have
is
a
now, we
Q&A
have a,
now?
yes, this is a Q&A session. So if anyone has any questions or comments, they can come up to the microphone and have a few minutes. We're only looking at you. You're the only father here. Do you have any questions?
No, I was primarily waiting to hear about the whole DC traffic.
Okay, that's what I thought too. Okay. So no questions or concerns from the public here? No? Okay.
So, can I make a comment?
Yes, absolutely.
To the public. Town meeting floor is not the time to stand up and flip out that we're looking at huge budget impact. The time would have been tonight and definitely next week, so I'm hopeful to see more of the public here next week.
Yes.
to give us some feedback.
Agreed, but it won't be here. It will be at
Well,
the high school.
here, yes.
Correct.
Here at our
this
meeting
meeting.
over.
Just to be clear.
At the middle high school, yes.
The meeting is at the high school.
Correct.
The high school side too.
On the
Still.
18th.
Correct.
It's on the high school side as well. The media room over there.
So, and
Different location there too.
Dr. Burnham, thank you very much for incredibly clear, not only scenarios, but also the exact to the dollar impact of what each scenario brings. Because that piece to look at for anyone just, makes it,
Well, I think it's
Clear.
important to
And
note,
the
right,
impact
that,
each school.
right.
well, yes.
And it's important to note that we brought to you a needs-based budget with our original budget proposal and presentation in January. So certainly, whether it's scenario 2 at a 2.9 or scenario 3 at a 2.5, there are impacts to the cuts that we will see.
Okay, so with no other,
Thank you.
do you have any other questions? No?
Thoughts
So-
on how you would like me to
Present
carry this
tomorrow.
forward tomorrow evening?
So we told the superintendent at our last meeting that we would not approve a budget, because that's next week, but give her support behind one so that she can present it to finance committee. Do you recall this?
Yes, I do recall that.
Okay, just wanted to
My-
remind, okay.
My support is still at the 3.24.
Okay, and we should take a vote, and let's
Mine is
vote
as-
on that support around 3.24.
I would make a motion that we support the superintendent presenting a 3.24 budget
I would
to the
second.
finance
The
committee.
original needs-based
The
budget.
original needs-based budget.
One second.
Second, all in favor then?
Aye.
Okay, so that's what we would like you to do tomorrow.
So I will present that's the budget that you are supporting and requesting, but I will also show them the scenarios that I presented here
Yes.
this evening so that they are well aware of what the impact will be should the town be unable to fund our budget at 3.24.
Okay. Okay. Now we're going on to second reading of policies, which we're going to waive, correct? But I'm going to leave this to you, Wendy and Jim. Right, it's second reading, so we don't, can you just go over the titles again and the numbers?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that if people have.
Wanna do that?
Yeah, if they
Yes.
want to look it up, they can look it up.
So our second reads,
And,
5206, I mean, conflict of interest, 4101.02. Enrollment of non-residents, 5103.01. Organization of instruction and curriculum and instruction, 5201.01.
what do you guys want to do with 5206? Do you want to table 5206?
Repeat that question?
This one, 5206, is what was
Uh,
brought up.
Homework.
Yeah, that's the
in
homework
public
policy.
comment.
policy that was in
Correct.
public comment.
So we could move to
Um,
approve it, and then you can reevaluate it after, or move forward with it, and then you guys bring it up in a committee meeting.
I think the place to hash out what this means is back in the policy subcommittee. So I would move that we table 5206 and take that back to the policy subcommittee.
Okay,
Yeah. It does not mean it cannot come back.
correct. As is. It could come back right as it
Yep.
is.
It's
And then
just.
the LEA could reach out to the policy subcommittee or attend the meeting?
Correct.
Yep,
Yep.
Those are posted as well.
yep. Okay,
So tabling 5206, and the other second reading is 5403, alcohol, tobacco, and drug use by students prohibited. So those are our second reads.
so we're going to waive those, and the next time they'll be read is next week for the third reading, and at that time, they will be voted to approve. So if you have any questions or concerns regarding those, please send an email to Wendy or Jim. they have email addresses and they're on the,
They could also email me.
Or the
yes,
superintendent.
or the superintendent. That's the
And
policy committee.
did you move to waive the reading, the second reading?
Yeah.
Or, because you went through the titles, I didn't know if you.
Yes.
So I
okay.
think we didn't
Then I'll
have a second
that.
on the tabling of 5206.
Oh, we need a second.
Yes.
All right, so
Make a motion to table.
I
Jim made
tabled
the motion.
5206.
I need a second.
Second.
Okay,
Jim, Brian,
and all in favor?
And a vote on that.
all in favor
Aye.
of?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And then the waive.
Then I move to move, to waive the second reading of policies 4101.02, 5103.01, 5201.01, and 5403.
And I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, the hot topic. Governor recommendations of international and spring trips.
So regarding field trips and large events, on March 10th, Governor Baker announced that the executive branch employees should discontinue all out-of-state work-related travel, cancel conferences or hold them virtually, and not attend external work-related conferences, seminars, or events. While schools are not part of the executive branch, the governor also urged employers and other large organizations to limit or eliminate non-essential travel and limit or eliminate large events where possible. We've been asked to review our field trips and events that are planned, and we've also been asked to evaluate the risks in light of the growing number of cases of coronavirus. 1 week ago, the Commissioner of Education and Governor Baker recommended that schools cancel any international trips. Keyword there is recommended. Now districts are being urged to cancel international trips and recommended to cancel trips out of state. So in a week's time, I think it's fair to say that the level of concern and recommendation has been escalated a bit.
And to be, oh, sorry. But to be clear, we're referring to the April Philadelphia, New York
So-
musical trip.
So the April music trip.
The May
May
DC trip.
DC trip, and the June Galapagos Island trip. And I have several staff members here this evening, so they can answer questions specific to what the ramifications might be for a canceled trip. And I think, since we have another meeting scheduled already next week, next Wednesday night, I don't think it's urgent that there be a vote this evening to cancel any of the trips. We'll see what happens in the course of the next week if there's a change in recommendation coming from the state.
You have a call tomorrow,
There will be a call tomorrow
right?
with
And
the
then
Department of
Tuesday
Ed.
as well,
Tuesday.
okay.
And just to be clear, the Department of Ed does fall under the executive branch. So it'll be interesting to see what we will get for recommendations tomorrow based on the governor's recommendations earlier, yesterday.
So I would like to hear from each representative how this affects a refund.
If at all, yeah.
All of those things that will affect the families that have kids that are signed up for these. Let's start with the April one.
Hi.
Hello.
Karen Wardwell, band director, music teacher at the high school. So I'll do my best to answer the questions. There are still a lot of unknowns, and at 5 o'clock today, I was emailing with the coordinator of the trip, so stay tuned on, how this evolves. So some of the information I have so far, if the school decides to cancel the trip, the amount of the refund would be limited, because we're making that decision. Obviously, if the government makes that decision, or CDC, Department of Public Health, it's
right.
handled a
Changes
little
the
bit.
whole thing.
Right.
Okay.
It's a little different. This document that I have is from the travel company as of last Friday, or this past Friday. And my guess is they will be editing and resending this information as well. So if families purchased the CFAR, cancel for any reason insurance, and the family removed their child from the trip, they could probably get a 75% refund, but that's only if they purchased that highest level
Right, if
of
they,
insurance.
if they purchase the additional insurance.
Right. If the government decides the trip shouldn't happen, or that's the recommendation, the way it sounds right now is that the company would work on our behalf to do the best that they can with their vendors that they work with very regularly for all of these school trips and try to recoup as much money as possible. All of our vendors have been paid. And so they can't right now guarantee how much exactly
Right.
they could get back.
They can't even say 75%.
They don't know. You know,
Right.
They would work in good
Okay.
faith. And I did reach out with Don Guerin's suggestion to the families of the students going on the trip a few days ago and sent an email and just said, you know, I'm coming to this meeting. We also have our parent meeting tomorrow to talk about all sorts of details. This will certainly be a hot topic as well. And I just kind of wanted their thought. Were they thinking they feel like they need to pull their kids off of the list?
Are they nervous?
Yeah, and the consensus so far, I've only heard from 10 out of the 29 families. They're basically fine with sending their children as long as, you know, all the precautions are taken. Obviously, if different guidelines are given, like you cannot go to New York City because we are stopping in Times Square or the theater is closing, that's a totally different scenario. But so far, the consensus is they're fine with children going. A couple of people have asked, in addition to the refund portion, you know, is there any possibility of rescheduling?
Right.
And I didn't yet respond to that. I don't know. I need to obviously talk to the travel company. I think that would be extremely difficult to make sure that all of these vendors have availability on these.
And when would
other-
that be?
I have no idea.
Right, would that be in the summer, next, like,
Well, we don't know how long,
right, that's what I
It-
mean,
it-
when
right.
would it be? It's so up
Right.
in the air.
Right.
how long
So-
that guidance might last, recommendation rather.
Right.
How long that might
Yeah,
be in place.
Yeah.
okay.
So does that
No,
help?
that's a little bit, yes.
Okay.
So the total cost that parents could be out,
Yes.
I mean, the full
If they
cost.
purchase the insurance.
if they did not
what's
purchase the
20
insurance?
If they
Right.
didn't purchase the insurance, it was $885.
$885,
After the
okay.
Musicators made their contribution.
Right.
Toward all students.
And then there's
Now, for the parents that are
multiple
going,
levels
it's
of
a little-
insurance, correct?
Say that again?
There was multiple levels of insurance?
Correct,
Some are not the CFAR, cancel for any reason.
correct.
Those ones, if the parent pulls their kid out of the 70, they can get back 75% of the 885.
That's the
Yeah,
CI,
that-
this,
Okay.
yes.
Right. And I don't have an exact number if they just purchased the other level of insurance. I can get that information.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I
it would-
don't
it
know
might-
an exact.
Right.
It might help just to have like
Yeah,
a grid of.
Sure.
And what was the donation from the Musicators again?
$1,000.
That's what I
That
thought,
went
okay.
just to the
That would
students.
just,
And they would be out
that would just be lost.
as well.
Yeah.
We don't know, that would just, we're just
Yeah,
gonna
I think it
consider
would just
that
be absorbed.
Just call it
'cause
a, yeah.
It's
a loss.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
And the parents that are going paid more,
right, because they paid for their own.
right? They
okay.
have a double versus a quadruple.
And how many parents are going?
There are 6 parents, although one, the grandparent, is probably not gonna go because
Oh, 'cause
she's
it's an old, okay,
older person
yeah.
and is concerned about traveling,
Well,
understandably so.
Yeah, those are the ones that, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
And of the families that you heard from, have they asked what additional precautions would be taken?
They haven't asked, I mean, that question might come up tomorrow, you know, the basic washing hands and, you know, if kids are
If
sick,
you can
obviously.
find Purell, they have it all over the
I have
boxes,
a
right?
big jug of
Listen,
it.
as
Big
a kid might
jugs.
go to, they're selling it for $95.
You know, they were just saying in general, as long as precautions are taken and kids are being safe, and obviously if a student is ill, that they should not be getting on the bus to go, you know, and then
Well, obviously.
Or
how
the
we
parent.
determine that on that Wednesday morning when we leave, I have no idea.
Is one of the parents a nurse?
There are a couple with some medical backgrounds,
Not the one I was
Once-
thinking of.
When's the departure date?
April 22nd.
April 22nd. Yes, for the break,
Yeah,
During
it is over
April
for the
vacation.
break, okay. Okay. All right, that's all we have for now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, please come up
Yes.
about DC.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As you know, this is an unprecedented event. So it's unprecedented for the administration, for the parents, for the vendors, for our travel agency. So we're all trying to work this out. So I'd just kind of like to piggyback on what Ms. Wardwell eloquently said, that if you choose to cancel that trip tonight, the financial implications to parents would be much more significant if we pushed it off
Yeah,
a week or so. And then if things through the CDC or Department of Health, or if there are travel bans, those will now fall what's called under an impossibility clause,
Yeah.
in which they would lift those restrictions for reimbursement. So we have talked to Merchant Travel. We have pushed off the deadline for the final payment until the 26th of March. That was going to be due on the 14th. Things are so fluid and moving so quickly. Even now, I just saw a tweet that they have closed Capital Tours, suspended them. So that might fall under that impossibility
Right.
clause that we had talked about, and that might be reimbursable.
Okay.
But all these things are
Yeah.
so fluid
Yep.
and happening so quickly that I think if we just step back and wait a week
Oh, I agree.
or so,
Yeah.
get some more information, and the more information we have, the better decisions we can make.
and how many kids were signed up to go on DC?
About 120, 125.
125? And if we cancel now, that $225 non-refundable is totally and completely
The
$250.
$250
Oh, $250,
first
yeah.
payment is non-refundable.
Right.
I think in all situations. I'm not sure what
Even
would
the-
happen if the CDC
Okay,
bans the trip about that one particular.
that
I mean,
one particular payment.
The other school that I know of that just canceled today, the parents got everything back except that 250.
Okay, and that's why we are waiting for the final payment, so that
Right.
people won't even lose
So people won't lose that.
That's why we
Okay.
pushed that final
Exactly.
payment
Okay.
off to the 26th.
125.
And
Merchant Travel is right now in negotiations with the vendors that we have already prepaid some
Yeah.
of those things, so we're trying to figure out how those would be reimbursable
Yeah.
without penalties, and that's whether it's that
Right, it's a tricky-
impossibility clause,
Yeah.
on whether, so if we cancel, it's just a breach
Yeah.
of contract.
Oh,
If
okay.
we're told that the CDC, we can't travel, then that's a different
Yeah.
situation in which we wouldn't be penalized.
must it be the CDC?
No.
Or
No,
it's
government.
any
It's
governing
government.
body?
Yeah, it's gotta
Yes,
be-
yes.
it's
So
gotta be
basically,
someone other than
it's
us that
restricted.
decides.
Like
Yes,
if there was
yes.
a quarantine
Yeah.
or a travel
Yeah.
ban or something like
Yeah, it
that
has
would
to,
negate.
a
So
higher
it
authority.
it
Yeah.
Or the
seems,
Capital Tours being
Yeah,
suspended,
right.
that's something that we don't have control over.
Right.
Right.
So that we are not breaking a contract, those are
Yes.
things
Right.
that are out of our
Right.
control.
And if we do it now and then they change it, and then going forward, they do that, we've already broken our contract.
Exactly,
And
and
acted
lost
too
that
too
money.
soon and lost the money for all the parents.
Exactly.
I agree.
So I think we'll at least wait till next week, and then we can just.
At the
hopefully-
very least.
At the very least, yes.
we're talking about the
This
end.
is in May,
26.
yes.
If we see how much
Yeah.
information has come over the past
Right, it
week,
could-
I imagine
by
one
the
more week we'll
26th,
have
the
that
last
much more
payment, yeah.
information. and
That's
make a
right.
good decision.
Before the last payment's made, 'cause I don't want parents to make that last payment with us not at least
Right.
having some sort of path forward.
Correct, yeah, okay,
Okay, so that's basically where we're at right
okay.
now.
All right,
All right,
So,
thank you.
in that case, it seems like we may, if we're not making a decision next week, we may need to have a
a special meeting just for that, yeah.
just for that on the 27th, right? That's that next Wednesday?
No, that would be too late. It would have to be on the 25th.
25th.
It would have to be the
Final
25th,
payments.
Oh, yeah,
before the final
25th,
payment. If,
I thought 25th, I said 27th, sorry.
So your final payment is due the 26th.
March 26th.
March 26th.
So in a worst-case scenario, if we felt like we wanted one more week, if we met on the 25th, we could still,
That's if nothing changes by next Wednesday.
correct.
Okay.
I
we're
don't know
just-
the bylaws or the rules, or could you make a motion tonight that says that you can make that decision
Yeah, we're
without
gonna-
coming to
yeah.
a special meeting?
Well, I think the chair has the option of calling a special meeting
Yeah,
at
well,
a time,
we could
right?
just call a special
Yeah.
meeting.
With that as the
And I
only
also-
agenda
Yeah, that
item.
would be
Need a-
the only item.
We just need 2
But I
days'
also
notice to
think-
post it.
Potentially.
We'll have more
that
information.
You could vote next week that should there be a travel ban implemented, that we would abide by
Right,
the travel
right.
ban, and
Okay.
therefore the
Then that would
trips
just-
would be
yeah.
canceled.
Okay.
Even better, in terms of clarity.
Yeah.
But I mean, we can just discuss all that
Yeah,
for
Next
next
week.
week.
it's not going to happen right now.
Okay.
Okay, that's not happening. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and now with the Galapagos, that's June. Please give us the details on that.
Okay, so Dawn Guerin, high school teacher,
Yeah.
taking 12 kids to the Galapagos
12,
in
okay.
yep, June 20th, 2020. I think that's a good sign.
Oh, that is.
That's a good sign.
Hopefully.
So I have some good news. I'm definitely in better shape than these guys, and
Yeah.
of course, time is on our side, so
Yeah,
that's part
yeah,
of it.
June.
So Education First, the company that I've been working with, they've been doing this for 40 years, and this is not the first giant nightmare that they've had to deal with,
I believe
right, the first scare.
Yeah.
But they've been in touch with me, like, the president has sent emails, my rep has called me, and we've definitely had multiple conversations, all the what-if situations. So they have a peace of mind policy. Basically, what that states is that up until 45 days before our trip, we're at 101 days today from our departure day.
So you have it's how many days before the trip? 40?
So 45 days before the trip,
Okay.
so that puts us at May 5th. We have like basically three options. One I don't really count for yet, but, so I could request to change locations. So if we can't get into Ecuador, I can't imagine we're getting into Panama or Belize
Right,
either.
right.
We could postpone it, and they seem to be pretty flexible about when that would happen. I do need to consider that I have two seniors that
Yeah.
I don't want to have miss out on the trip, so I would be probably requesting to postpone it till June of 2021.
So they could come.
So they could
yeah.
definitely come, yes, because they're both planning to go to college, and April vacation would be out of
Yeah. Their schedule.
yes,
Yeah.
correct. So those are our three options, up to 45 days.
45 days, May
Yep.
5th.
Yep, May
is your
5th.
target.
What
I put
happens
May 1st
after
on my
40?
calendar, and we're going to talk more, for sure, with the rep, but obviously with you guys, too.
Right.
So after 45 days, so on that 44 days from departure, if the governmental, CDC, all those guys say, okay, they're going to a level 3 or a level 4, then EF will yank us from the trip. And at that point, we have those options: reschedule, pick a new location, and so on. If in 44 days, there's no governmental intervention that says that's a level 3, level 4, we can't travel, then we're going.
Right.
Then we're going. So the other good news, obviously, I've touched base with the parents. I've heard from all 12 of them. Most of them are like, this is great that we have the opportunity to wait. We'd obviously like to wait before any decisions are made, but we're really pushing to go in June. One said they'd prefer to go next June.
One.
One. But if everything goes as well and the
Yep.
rest of us are going, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that kid would be going with us.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. They want nothing to do with canceling or any of that stuff,
Right.
because they would lose more than 50%,
Right.
because there's non-refundable, and then
Right.
50% beyond that.
Remind us the total cost.
For most of them, it was around $4,500, $4,600, so significant.
And half
It
of
is.
that would be,
Gone.
Gone.
More than half, because there's like $250, $300 that's non-refundable.
Right.
was there an option to purchase trip insurance?
Yes,
And did
I believe
anybody
most
take
of them
advantage
have
of
it.
that? Okay.
I believe most of them have
But
it.
still, that's limited to,
Correct.
That's different than if we cancel.
Yes,
That
all the
doesn't-
different
like, I
scenarios,
don't
and
even think that-
I was
that
looking at the
falls
fine
under-
print, and I'm like, I'm not the last person that's making this call. I did
Right.
put a call out to them after a chunk of time waiting to hear from them, because the EF people will not make any statements based on
no,
the insurance,
yeah.
right? And I had a parent asking me, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that
Yeah.
either, but I'm like, looking at the fine print, there's all these exclusions, and,
Yeah.
same thing, is it said something about the US government, but what if
Yeah.
it's the state that's, I'm not, so I waited to try to get in touch with them. They actually tried to call me back, and I was, where the heck was I last night? A meeting or a class or something, and so I couldn't answer it at the time, but, and then I haven't heard back from them today, so I've kind of decided to wait anyways,
Yeah.
because I would have these sort of vague questions anyways.
Okay.
And we have time.
Yeah,
We
you
got a
you
lot
have
of time.
plenty of time.
Yep, so hopefully everything just settles out, and all this craziness will be
Maybe.
over.
And it's an important distinction to note that these students would not be coming back to school.
That is huge.
Yeah, they won't be.
That is,
they will
that is
not come
completely
back into
different
the student
than,
environment,
than
yeah.
the other two
Where
trips, where
they'd come back
students
to
would be
school.
returning to the general population
Right.
of our school district.
So, because it's June 20th, so we would be hopefully
School.
out of school officially.
Yeah, who, at this
Never know
point.
now. Yeah.
Well, as of yesterday, the
16th,
governor
right?
stated we don't owe any more than 5, did I hear that correctly? than the 185th day.
Right.
Should there be any
I'm sure that
extended?
we'll get some additional detail
Guidelines
on
on
that.
that.
I
That's just
I saw
not-
something on the DESI's website
Yep,
about that, that won't go beyond June 30th.
beyond June 30th.
But that's
Or-
not
or
180.
Or 185 days.
Right.
Okay, because the 185 makes a big difference.
Yeah.
185
Because otherwise
for
we'd be
us
losing
puts
vacations
us
and stuff like that.
Right.
prior to
Yeah.
June 20.
Depending on if you close, you still have to make up to 185. You
Correct, it
cannot-
depends on when there's a
Yeah.
cancellation.
Yeah,
Right. Before the
Dates.
15th or after the 15th.
right, yeah. Like,
But, at this point,
it's too early to say
It's-
things
yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
It's much too early. So let's not even
But
talk
if it-
about that
yeah.
right now. It doesn't need to be on that. It should be, Kate will be thinking about that right now.
oh, yeah.
24/7.
Yeah, so she has no sleep, and I'm sure they'll offer more guidelines if there's need for mass school closings to address the school year. Okay.
Any more questions?
Nope.
Okay.
May
Thank you.
5th.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll be talking about what the changes, and then I'll be back.
Yeah,
to
okay.
discuss
When
for
is our
sure.
first meeting in May?
It's the first. The
Okay,
6th,
Matt.
so that would, we'd have to, that one would have to,
Decide in April.
yeah, in April.
Well, it could be just the meeting before that. I mean, it
Yeah.
would be just 2 weeks before,
Yeah.
so we'd be in probably the same shape
Yeah,
at that
okay.
point, so that won't be an issue.
We'll have much more information by then, in
Correct.
April, I
Yeah.
would think.
April 15th.
Things will-
was
Well,
it,
April 15 is the meeting because
Just before the
Oh, because of the break.
first trip
there's
as
a
well.
break.
It's
Okay.
15 to 20 days before we need to, so there's still plenty of time.
Yeah, I think, I don't think we have to stress about that right now.
No,
The schedule.
worry about the other two.
Yeah,
I'm not worrying, honestly. I'm
Okay.
good,
Yeah.
so
okay.
worry about those guys, and
It's
then
the
we'll
other two.
we'll deal with us at
Yes.
the end of April.
Having a
or-
little stress. Okay.
So I would also offer, as a point of information, there's been an awful lot of conversation amongst the Massachusetts superintendents. And many of us signed on to a common letter to the different companies that sponsor these educational trips, requesting some flexibility with their refund policies, but in particular, pressing for them to give special consideration for seniors who have paid for the trip, and if it is postponed, they will not be able to attend. So we'll see where that goes.
Initially, I did ask my company as well, and because I was concerned about the seniors, and then depending if we were going to go like April vacation of next year or June. I mean, June keeps it so that they can come, but I said they'd be graduated at that point, so I would need to make sure that they would be allowed to come on that trip.
Right, you have to get
Regardless.
approval.
And they were like, I said, you're going to
Yeah.
fight me. If we get to that point, that's going to be my big fight, to make sure that they don't lose the trip.
Right.
And they had mentioned, possible waivers that they could use for college visits. I said, nope, that's not what I want. I mean, if the parents want that and the families want that, then great, we'll take them and let them go their own, merry way with the trip that they choose from here on out. But that was one of my big pushes, was that absolutely those seniors would be included on that trip, even though they would be considered past the, 18-year-old graduated from high school.
Right.
So I was thinking there'd be some flexibility, that this company is very reputable, and they don't want to have unhappy customers, because there's a lot of competition out
Right.
there.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Night.
I think that there's, another lens that we need to consider, and again, not this evening. But thinking about the nature of how this virus, like any other virus, spreads. So I think that, yes, there absolutely is an impact to families to consider, the financial impact for families to consider, but I think we also have to look through a public health lens as well. And potentially by sending our kiddos out somewhere and exposing them, and they bring it back, and now it's here in the community in
yeah.
Lunenburg. So again, not to hit a panic alarm right this minute. Things are going to continue to evolve. We're going to continue to get guidance. A decision does not have to be made this evening. But I think that when you do deliberate, that's another lens that you should give some consideration to.
So this will be on the agenda again for next week? For the 2 spring ones, at the very least.
At the very least, yep,
The April and May one.
correct.
Okay. Food service updates, I don't see anything.
No, unfortunately,
do we need a-
Ms. Lorenzen cannot be
Need
here
action
this
to
evening.
Table that? Is there-
No, we'll just bring it back.
Okay.
Yeah. She wasn't able, she'll be at another
Correct.
meeting then? We'll have her come.
Next meeting.
Next meeting? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Action item, first reading for policies 5218, 521801. Okay, gonna read them?
I move that we waive reading for, or first reading for.
Yeah, first reading, yeah. Can you tell us what they are?
I'm going
To the
about to.
public.
It
For
is.
policy 5218, which is the equal opportunity, educational opportunities. And 528.01, educational equity.
Okay.
So I moved to waive
Move
first
it.
reading.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And I'll be back again next week, okay. Okay, now we have reports, athletic advisory. Brian, you had a meeting, didn't you?
Yes, we met on the 2nd. Not a lot to update on that.
No, you just did fundraisers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there was some approvals. I'll send
Yeah,
those to the
right,
superintendent.
but that's about it? Okay. Oh, Carol's not here? And then the finance committee will meet tomorrow? Where you will present? Policy subcommittee, do you have another meeting?
We need to get one scheduled.
You should, because
Have one for the
somebody in the
16th?
audience might want to attend that meeting.
We
Yeah, I know.
16th is, no.
You love them as much as we do.
When,
No,
oh
there's
yeah,
a
because we were
conflict with
going
that.
to do one on the
Correct.
16th, but that's Citizens Caucus. All right.
So we need to find some additional dates, and we have not yet set a date. for
Okay,
those.
so when you do, would you,
Email
Email.
interested parties?
yes,
Yes.
please, okay. Okay, the PTO had a meeting on Monday. They're talking about, their scholarship, they created their committee. The apps are due before April vacation, they'll review them and then they'll decide. The kindergarten social, already talking about that for the summer. Oh, they did talk about the boosters on at the primary school with the new contract.
Which we will not be doing.
Correct, so that was a fundraiser that was not approved. Kylie's Care Kits, Turkey Hill will have a jogathon to raise money to donate to Kylie's Care Kits. They just didn't have, March is a kickoff, it's coming up. I think they might have kicked it off, or they might on Monday for their jogathon. Then they're planning their Parents' Night Out, which is April 3rd, it's a Friday this year, at the Elks Club in Leominster. Tickets are on their PTO website, $25 a ticket. The Miles for Miles is still going, they're not going to handle it, but they gave it to the Booster Club, the Track and Field Booster Club, take it
did they?
over? Yes.
Wow, that's a nice transition.
So they mentioned Coach K, Mr. McAuliffe, and Sandy Lacerte, hopefully running and or helping organize it, yes. And that is it. So maybe I'll see some of you at the Parents' Night Out. Anyone?
90s trivia.
Yeah, I know, it's 90s trivia. The theme is 90s trivia.
It's too early for me.
I don't, I know. I don't remember the, I don't remember the
I can-
90s,
I
but.
can do 80s trivia, but
Yeah.
90s I'm on.
Oh.
Yeah, I need
So yeah, 90s trivia.
90s were a blur.
That's the theme.
Yes.
April
Yes,
3rd,
they
it's a
were.
Friday, on their website, okay? Capital planning is, we don't need to have that on there anymore right now.
No, we don't.
Wellness
So
advisory,
you
Wendy?
skipped
No,
school council?
Not yet, our March.
School
Oh, I'm
council?
sorry,
Yeah.
I did, I jumped right over school councils, it's blending in.
Primaries,
meet?
primaries meeting next week.
Next week, okay. Did you have one?
No, and
No.
I
I haven't had
haven't
one since.
asked when it is.
Wendy, did you have any? No, you don't.
No.
Carol does. And we didn't, the high school hasn't had one, but now they're right in the throw of NEASC.
Correct.
So
That
at the
just
next
concluded
one.
today.
Yeah, so at the next one, I'll have some information about how NEASC went. They were here since Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
and today was their last day, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, Wendy, then wellness, did you have any?
Not since our last meeting.
And Paxal was Friday, and it just totally in the middle of the day, and I missed it. So I'll go to the next one. Lifelong learning.
We have a meeting coming, not since our last meeting.
Right.
Okay.
And I don't believe we have one scheduled
Correct.
currently.
Brian, TC Passios Building, did you have another one?
Yes, last night.
Oh, wow.
Oh, sorry, tonight.
Tonight, right before
just
it, right?
got there.
Yeah.
Got from there to here. We met with the architects, that was great.
Oh, that's cool, okay.
And then I had to leave early, but we talked to the architect a bit, gave him some ideas, and we talked about the schedule. Typically, their goal is to end around mid-August, and that way they'll be ready for the fall meeting,
Okay.
town
Oh,
meeting.
yeah, okay.
And they should be at the annual town meeting as well to
May,
present so
okay.
far
Okay,
what they've done and what we've done as well.
right. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
It is.
Yeah, okay. Public comment, open to anything that's under the school committee realm. Does anyone have any public comment?
I was just going
Oh,
to remind everybody that Citizens Caucus is March 16th,
That's
on
Monday.
Monday, at Turkey Hill Elementary School. 2 seats are available on the school committee, and 2 seats are available for select board that I know of,
Correct, yeah.
7 PM.
7 PM. So if you're
We're
interested,
right here.
step on up.
Yep, we'll see you at the caucus.
We'll see you at caucus, yeah.
It's always a good time.
It is a good
Small
time.
town politics at its
Right, yeah,
finest.
it's fun. It is. Topics for future discussion, we'll be bringing back the spring trips. Did we have anything else that we wanted? Is there anything else in our notes from last time?
I had some questions regarding accepted,
The student.
in terms of resident, what we can
Resident
accept
requirements.
for a resident.
Yeah, that's
Proof of
right.
residency, that's.
Right, proof of residency.
Yes.
Um,
My specific question
As the affidavit, right?
is an affidavit accepted, and what are, does the state give us mandate as to what types of verification we must accept?
Okay, and then we're gonna have Nadine next, right? And the World's Hunger Task Force
Mr.
presentation.
Stevenson.
Okay. Okay. And that is it. So now we're gonna go into executive session to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with union personnel, not to return to regular session.
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote.
Mr. Leighton?
Yes.
Mr. Levesque?
Yes.
Ms. Bertrand?
Yes.
Mr. Stropa?
Yes.